I probably have time for a couple more questions, so I'll try and get to a couple more. What are the top 3 things that go wrong during execution, and are they avoided? Again, I think that kind of depends on the case, on the pilot itself. Certainly on the AMI side, one of the things that we've seen is the challenge with consumer interaction. It kind of depends on where you are in the world. So, for example, in the US, as I understand it, there tends to be less interaction, direct interaction with the consumer, because many of the meters are on the outside of the building. Whereas in Europe, generally people need to access the interior of the building. Depending on the technology that's in place, what you often see is that there are challenges with uplinks on the comm side. So, for example, on GPRS meters, you quite often find in the European context that the meter is beneath the stairs or in the cellar, and as a consequence, you can't get GPRS signal, and you have to relocate the meter. The consequence of that is that you have a significantly higher installation cost. There's an interesting parallel to what we saw during the digital TV rollout, where the cost of poor quality in terms of installation of the comms backlink was resulting in about 50% failure rates on installation. Now, if you get into that kind of scenario, that becomes a very costly problem to deal with, and would almost certainly bury the business case. And I come back to the point about the need for re-engineering in the field. It's absolutely critical that there is a focus during the execution phase on continuous improvement of the installation processes and thinking about that consumer engagement. So a couple more questions. There's a question here from Kevin Peterson. In the report, do you have any metrics on how much time or money is saved with smart grid pilots, and to what extent a pilot should be conducted, i.e. from the meter to network to back office systems? So kind of the first point about metrics, about how much time and money is saved with smart grids, there's an awful lot of information out there on business cases. There are a couple of great reports on summarizing how different business cases are structured. One of the things that we point to in the report is a piece done in West Virginia that was quite interesting, that looked at a much broader based set of benefits. And I reiterate the point about the business case. The de minimis solution is that you need to develop a business case that focuses on the commercials. But ultimately, the aim is to transition that to driving a much broader set of metrics that includes carbon savings and other societal benefits. Because by targeting those things, then you can aim to change the regulatory regime to monetize those benefits if they're deemed to be of societal value. But there is an awful lot of information out there. I think there was a report that was written by MIT, actually, and I think Brattle Group also issued a report on business cases in the US. So there's quite a lot of information on there. Let me just see if there's another question, and I'll try and do one more question. I think we're almost at the top of the hour. Mike Hogan, or Michael Hogan, I'm not sure which Michael. Have you looked at models where consumers are charged for the cost of installing infrastructure, and models where consumers are paid for providing a service to the system? Mike, the Yellowstrom example is probably the best case study that we have. That was by EMBW in southern Germany, and they actually required consumers to buy the meter or to rent the meter. And then they back themselves to give a good enough value proposition to the consumer to justify that charge. And that's helped by the fact that Germany is a competitive market. But I think it's a very interesting case study, and I can give you more details on that. I think if it's the same Mike Hogan, you know how to get in touch with me, Mike. I think we're going to have to wrap it up there, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to answer all the questions. I know that the team are recording these questions, and I'll do what I can to get back to people. But again, I reiterate, if anyone wants to contact me for more information, just drop me a line. There's a lot more in the report, and I'm more than happy to help. But thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed it.
Great. Thank you, Simon, and thank you, Johanna, for the excellent information. We hope everybody has enjoyed today's discussion. As you log off, please take a moment to complete our survey and give us your feedback so that we can continue to provide you with quality content. Thank you for attending. This concludes today's presentation.